Joining me now to talk about his run for mayor of Warner Robins is Mr. Councilman Daron Lee. How are you, sir?
Doing fine. Thank you for the invitation.
Of course, of course. Now, this is probably a no-brainer. Some might say you could have easily won re-election this year in your post. So why make the big move?
Well, actually, once I was inside the House as a councilman, I found out a lot of things that really needed to be done. I heard the cry of the people, and once I found out that Mayor Chuck Sheen was not running again, we wanted to have some consistency in government with a lot of concern with Bragg coming and a lot of projects on the table. We really didn't have the time to actually transition into a new vision and a new way of doing things.
So what do you think you can get accomplished as mayor that maybe you couldn't have as a councilman? Is that something you think about? Or?
Well, I'm a trained leader. I'm one who knows about collaborative partnerships, I know about being a great team player, a great coach, motivating people to work together and really having a synergistic view at addressing a lot of the issues and completing projects.
In terms of the current leadership, you were a member of it for 4 years. It kind of went through some rotations. Where do you feel maybe sometimes y'all fell short, and how would you work to kind of lead it a little differently if elected?
Well, actually, everything is fine, but it just needs to be tweaked a little bit. Okay. One of our main areas of concern was our communication. We didn't communicate well. Once we communicate well and inform the people ahead of time before we make a final decision, I really do believe that the city can move forward in a very positive and productive way.
So communication is one. Are there any other areas you feel you would want to kind of focus on more if elected as mayor that maybe you feel could be made better?
Well, I think inclusion should be an area that we should focus on. I do believe that we should be consistent when we have projects on the table, and instead of starting a project and then stopping it and moving somewhere else, because now we have to win the trust of the people again and really increase our integrity within the House.
One of the things you mentioned on your website is that you have a clear vision for Warner Robins. So what is that vision exactly if Daron Lee's mayor?
That vision is strengthening our partnership with Warner Robins Air Force Base, with Robins Air Force Base, and their increasing dual usage there. Also completing the projects, increasing economic development, completing projects that makes the city more viable and more marketable, that brings more dollars to the city, more jobs, and more corporations want to invest in this area.
Quickly tell us, you're up against some pretty experienced and proven leaders in running for mayor. So what sets Daron Lee apart? What's one quality that you have that is above all the others?
Well, I have the political experience. I have the political know-how because I've already been in office for 4 years. I've completed Leadership Georgia. I've worked with the leaders across the state and some leaders across the nation. So I have the relationships already in place, and I've already labored in the field, and now we're in a position to reap what we've sown.
In terms of the voters, something about you specific as a leader that they may not know, what would you like them to know about you?
Well, they have invested a lot of money in me. I've invested a lot of money in my training, from completing Leadership Georgia, completing Robert E. Knox School of Leadership, completing classes with DCA. So they need to see a return on their investment. They really do.
All right, and you think you're the man to show them the return on an investment, correct?
Oh yes, my goal is to be the next mayor of Warner Robins, Georgia.
All right, thank you so much, Councilman Lee. And just a reminder, early voting starts up again next Monday. It's going on at City Hall from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The last date to vote is November 1st. Election day is November 5th.